Freeport City Council could significantly lower the funding for the Greater Freeport Partnership, an organization that works with businesses and people to help the Pretzel City grow.
23 News reporter Sydney Stoffregan talks to the Greater Freeport Partnership about the impact this could have on the organization and Freeport as a whole.
With a significant portion of its funding on the chopping block, the Greater Freeport Partnership tells me this could mean the end of the organization. Splitting the city funding in half, a quarter of their total investor funding is set to be reallocated in 2024. The nonprofit served as the driving force behind the economic development of Freeport and Stevenson County. The Greater Freeport Partnership Executive Director Andrea Schultz-Winter says this decision could create a ripple effect, ending more partnerships throughout the city.
Action item that we can ask everyone to do is that if you've seen improvements in the city within the last 5 years, contact your council person and ask them to support the Greater Freeport Partnership.
You know, nothing's a done deal, but I think we need to move things forward and have conversations back and forth between everybody as far as what's going on, what's expected, what we think should change.
We reached out to the Freeport City Council, who declined to comment. While the decision is not official yet, future conversations could lead to an agreement between both groups.
Thank you, Sydney. And the Greater Freeport Partnership serves as the Chamber of Commerce and the Tourism Bureau for both Freeport and Stevenson County. Without funding, they say it's possible the nonprofit's other public partner will cut funding as well.